Good morning, everyone. So I wanted to do a video here for all my newer producer friends. So some questions I get asked a lot are, hey Devin, I want to start producing, I don't know where to start, or oh man, this is really fun, but it seems like a really steep learning curve. So fear not, I really wanted to do a little bit of a video to just kind of walk you guys through what I think, for me personally, are the top 5 tips for new producers. All right, so without further ado, I've got tip number 5 here is finish songs. So one of the things that I think is the biggest misconception is that you have to make your song perfect before you release it, because honestly the fact of the matter is that you're just not going to ever be able to make a quote-unquote perfect song, no matter how experienced you are. I can't remember who said this, but art is really just a matter of deciding that something is good enough, but it's never going to be perfect. When you're happy enough with it, then that's the time to say it's finished and move on to the next project. Also, one of the things that I think will really help speed up your development as a producer is if you're actually able to just finish a song, arrange the whole song, mix it down, and then move on to the next project. And what you'll notice is, your first songs will suck. Your first 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 songs will be not very good, but then there'll come that point where you start realizing that, hey, this song was a little bit better than the last one, and this next one was a little bit better than that one. So I think that is just really underrated. Everybody these days is really focused on making this perfect track from day one, and it's easy to get disheartened if your track isn't sounding as good as you wanted to, but really at the end of the day, quality comes with quantity. So yeah, that's rule number 5. All right, so for rule number 4, I would say start off by listening. So what I mean by that is, especially when it comes to mixing, mastering, and sound design, it's very hard until your ears are trained to just go from nothing and mix or design a sound or master a track and have it be at a really professional level. So what I would recommend doing before you even sit down and start writing music is just have a folder of songs and just make the first 10 minutes, 20 minutes of your session be just about listening to those tracks and getting that sort of exposure to really professionally mixed audio. For me, before I start any session, I almost always, while my project's loading up, I'll put on something by someone within my genre who I feel like has exquisite mix downs, such as Madeon or Illenium or Gray. Those are probably my 3 go-tos of people that I'll just listen to before I produce. What I really feel like that will do is it'll sort of warm up your ears, just like before a sporting event you want to warm up your muscles. It'll warm up your ears to know what you're going to be looking for. So that's a big one for me. Listen. There's people who are incredibly good at what they do. Borrow from them without stealing. So now, rule number 3, or tip number 3 rather, find people to collaborate with. Now, this doesn't mean go up to someone and be collab bro, or worse yet, send some random person on the internet that you've never talked to a message that says collab bro, all the memes, right? But what that means is, whether you're in a big city, try to find some people within your city locally who are also around your same level, maybe a little bit better ideally, and then try to befriend them and have people that you can talk to about tips and send tracks back and forth. If you're in a small town, not to worry. Almost all the people, except for a small crowd of people that I've known for a long time, almost all the people I talk to about music are from all around the world. I have people in the States, in Australia, in Europe, and this day and age, there's really no excuse not to have people that your peers that you're going to be growing with and challenging each other with. Because if you're by yourself, you're probably going to be thinking, either you're going to be thinking one of 2 things. Either I'm never going to be good enough, which is awful to think, because if you're doing yourself from the start, or you're going to be thinking to yourself, I'm the best, which is also equally as destructive to think that, because if you're brand new, you probably have a lot to learn. So by having someone or a group of people who you can kind of bounce ideas off of, you will improve faster because you can get genuine feedback from them, and you're not going to be having to rely on asking random strangers or asking big groups of people on the internet for feedback on your tracks, which I've just found doesn't really work that well. Number 2. So this is a big one. It's a little bit more on the line of the technicality of things, but don't low cut everything. I know that there's a lot of rules around low cutting synths and low cutting samples to ensure that the bass doesn't bleed through and cause phasing issues with your sub. But one of the most common issues I see when people send me demos to listen to is it just sounds really thin. And I think that there's this sort of almost like religious zeal when it comes to low cutting absolutely everything that's not a bass or a kick drum, and that's just, it doesn't sound natural. So again, this tip can kind of be taken for anything to do with rules that you hear. Sidechaining, for example. Don't sidechain absolutely everything to the kick, right? If it sounds good, it sounds good. Don't listen to, you know, a blanket rule and apply it completely. So that would be a big one. I hear a lot of people doing this, and you know, it's a pretty easy fix too. If you low cut something, generally speaking, what you want to do is you want to take it to where you think it should be and then dial it back a little bit. So take it to 1,000 hertz. You're like, okay, that's cutting out all the bass. Now we're going to bring it back to 800 hertz. So yeah. Then final tip, we'll do one more that's a bit more of just a holistic tip here. So that would be, honestly, make sure you're making the music that you actually like. I see a lot of times people, and I've been guilty of this before, where you're just making a track because you feel like it's what's in right now, and you're thinking, oh, I've got to make a song that sounds like that because that's what the channels will take, that's what the labels will sign, etc., etc., etc. 99% of the time when you do that, the song turns out terrible. So really make sure, like, hey, if you love making big room house, who cares if that's not what's really popular right now? Make big room house. Be the best big room house producer you can possibly be. If you're creating some sort of weird alternative sound that, you know, it's not quite there yet and everybody's saying this doesn't sound good enough, stick with it. Like, honestly, you just keep working on it, keep innovating, maybe take a few aspects here and there from the world of like what's popular, but don't fully just go in the direction of, okay, this is what's popular right now, I'm gonna make that. Because if you keep chasing trends, then you're going to just always be chasing them. You're never gonna be innovating, and you're never gonna get good enough to the point of where you're a front runner. You're always gonna be playing catch up. So I think it's very easy with this, especially for people like myself who are trying to do this professionally as a business, to just get really carried away and making things that are a little too safe and a little too formulaic, following what's popular. But really try to avoid that, because all the best songs you make, I swear, will be the ones where you just are naturally doing what you want to make and what feels right in the moment for you. Anyway, hope you guys like this video. There'll be lots more to come soon, so make sure to smash that like button if you like this content, hit subscribe, and yeah, till next time.